Life's not the breath you take, the breathing in and out that gets you through the day ain't what it's all about. You might just miss the point trying to win the race. Life's not the breath you take, but the moments that take your breath away. These lyrics are from the hit song The Breath You Take, sung by George Strait. This song is one of many hit songs from the famous country singer George Strait. He began his singing career while he was stationed in Hawaii on the Army base. From then on, he never looked back, as he would have achieved numerous recognitions and awards for his work. George Harvey Strait was born on May 18, 1952, in Poetry, Texas. While growing up, George was the son of a junior high school teacher, also owned and operated a ranch that has been in the Strait family for nearly 100 years. Strait's mother, Doris Colser Strait, left with George's Strait's sister, leaving him and his brother John Jr. to be raised by their father. After graduating from high school in the late 60s, Strait enrolled in college but then dropped out and eloped with his high school sweetheart, Norma. In 1971, George enlisted in the Army base, and then 2 years later he was stationed in Hawaii where he played country music with the Army base sponsored band Ramblin' Country. In 1975, Strait left the Army, returning to Texas and intended to finish his education. George enrolled in Southwest Texas State University at San Marcos to study and take a career up on agriculture and formed his own band while there. Strait named the band Ace in the Hole. He made only a few records in the late 70s, but never went anywhere. George had many other hits, but in 1885 he won CMA Awards for Album of the Year, according to Does Fort Texas Ever Cross Your Mind, a male vocalist. In 1986 he won the same award again as male vocalist, but this year was a sad year for him because his 13-year-old daughter Jennifer was killed in a car wreck. Strait didn't let that stop him from his country music career because he ended the decade by winning the CMA Entertainer of the Year award in 1989, and a year later won the same award again. When the generation changed in the early 90s, Strait was one of the few superstars to survive the shift. To this day, George is known as the American country music singer, actor, music producer, as he is referred to as the King of Country. His instruments include vocals, guitar, and the piano. George has had many hits in the past years and recent ones. George had many hot hits in the past year, some of them starting clear back in 1981, when he releases his first single for MCA Records with Unbound. This one in particular climbed to the top Hot Country Songs chart that year and was included with his debut album, Strait Country. This record has 2 more singles, including Down and Out and If You Want a Stranger, according to There's One Coming Home. In 1983, Strait made his first appearance at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, which is where he made stage and was played for more than 1 million fans. From 1983 to 84, George recorded 17 subsequent number ones in the decade with a string of 5, and from his next 2 albums, Right or Wrong, which were his first number 1 album and the CMA Awards winning Does Forth Ever Cross Your Mind. The next year he won the CMA Award for Top Male Vocalist and released Something Special, that third straight number 1 album of his career, following the number 1 single, The Chair. Strait repeated the CMA Vocalist of the Year and released his 4th number 1 and 7th number 7 album in 1986. When George and his family struck the tragedy of his 13-year-old daughter was killed in an automobile accident, this did not keep him from performing, as he went on to release 11 straight number 1 hits, starting with Nobody in His Right Mind Would Ever Leave Her, and ending with Ace in the Hole in 1989. Throughout the 90s, Strait dominated the country singles charts, and his albums consistently went platinum or gold, just as they did in the 80s. Strait began his new decade by having a new release with his 10th album, Livin' It Up, which featured 2 #1 hits including Love Without End and Amen. And his first multi-week hit, I've Come to Expect It From You, in the 1990s. Both of these songs stayed #1 for 5 weeks. Later in 1992, Strait played the main character in the movie Pure Country and released the film soundtrack. The soundtrack was his most popular studio album, producing such hits as Heartland and I Cross My Heart and When Did You Stop Loving Me. Strait released his self-named album in 2000, which despite a #1 and #7 showing on the country and Billboard 200 album charts, produced and was the first studio album of his career not to be certified as platinum. In 2004, Strait set a new rodeo attendance record with 68,679 spectators at the Reliant Stadium. That same year, he issues a greatest hits package billed as 50 #1. In 2009, George Strait was honored at the Academy of Country Music with the Artist of the Decade Award. May 2008, 2009. His biggest influences still today are Hank Williams, George Jones, and Merle Haggard. George got to the point where all he could think about was starting his career in country music. He would dream and sometimes even lie awake with Norma and imagine what he would do to have a music career. Looking back, George said that he still would have liked to be a professional rodeo roper, but him and Norma had gotten married and he thought a music career had better futures.